the main ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria in Midtown Manhattan, it is NASCAR night in the Big Apple. And welcome to this special edition of Speed Week from here in New York. And we're now about a half hour away from the beginning of our coverage of the NASCAR Winston Cup Banquet for 1996. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Benny Parsons, and a lot of awards will be handed out tonight. And some checks, and Terry Labonte, the champion of the series, is going to get, somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million.
Yeah, that's a tremendous amount of money. But, you know, yesterday in a press conference here at the Waldorf Astoria, Terry Labonte said something very strange. He said, you put $1.5 million here and the trophy there. I can only have one. I'll take the trophy.
I found that very interesting, too. Well, it was Mr. Consistency that won the title in 1996. Terry Labonte only had 2 wins, 21 top 5 finishes, 24 top 10s, and only 1 DNF.
7 second-place finishes. I mean, Terry Labonte, when you took a picture of the start-finish line at the checkered flag, Labonte was right there about 9 times.
Well, the enthusiasm of this NASCAR Winston Cup Banquet was kind of dampened because of the indictment handed down against Rick Hendrick earlier. Mr. France had a statement on that yesterday.
NASCAR has no knowledge of the allegations associated with the indictment of Rick Hendrick announced yesterday in North Carolina. However, when it comes to motorsports, we wish we had more car owners like Mr. Hendricks. And to have one drop of rain fall on Terry and his team members' parade is one drop too many and would be inexcusable. Thank you very much.
Words well spoken by Mr. France. Those indictments, of course, in connection with an alleged scheme involving Rick Hendrick's Honda dealerships.
You know, and some folks have asked me, well, his teams are going to be in a lot of trouble in 1997. You think they'll be able to perform? Is he going to have teams? Certainly he's going to have teams. And will they perform? They'll probably even perform better because, trust me, they want to do something in 1997 for the boss.
Well, we're very grateful that Rick Hendrick earlier today took time out of his schedule to talk with us about the indictments and about other subjects. Dr. Jerry Punch was with him earlier in the afternoon. Here's what he had to say.
Thanks, Bob. Again, it's been an incredible year for Hendrick Motorsports, and the man who has led to the success of this 1-2 finish in Winston Cup Racing joins me now, Rick Hendrick. And Rick, another great year last year with Jeff Gordon, this year with Gordon and Terry Labonte. Finishing first and second. And then this morning, a special award, the Myers Brothers Award, emblematic of service above and beyond the Call of Duty in NASCAR. Congratulations on that. But unfortunately, a little bit of a dampener being put on this festivities this week, the legal announcements that came out yesterday. But it has to be reassuring for you to be able to hear what Bill France said just a moment ago. People at home heard it again. And the outpouring of support from the NASCAR family and all the fans.
Well, you know, Jerry, it really has been one of the neatest things about NASCAR is the family atmosphere, and Bill France is the leader of the bunch. And you know, it's been so many people called, and you know, it's one of these situations when all the facts are on the table. I'll be completely vindicated. So you know, we're here to celebrate Terry Labonte's championship, and we are really. The Myers Brothers Award this morning was, I mean, I never dreamed I'd get that. And what a year the organization's had, and we're just excited about getting down to Daytona and starting her up again.
Well, that's exactly what we're here for, to talk about this championship year. And a little bit we're going to head downstairs. What about Terry Labonte? I mean, what a team player and what a special night this will be for him in the Grand Ballroom.
Well, you know, a lot of people had written Terry off, and he's just such a neat person. He's such a nice guy. You know, we talk about the Iceman and the Iron Man, but he's just a neat, nice guy. And heck of a driver. He's been such a big influence in our organization. Great ideas, and he and Gary DeHart together. I mean, it's an unbelievable combination. Those two, just like Ray and Jeff. And you know, I feel very fortunate to have Terry as a part of the organization. And when you look at his family, and he and Bobby in that lap at Atlanta, and his mom and dad and his kids, and they just really deserve this. And this is just such a special championship night for him, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Well, they are glad to be a part of Rick Hendrick's organization as well. And as Bill France put it yesterday, Bob, he would love to have a lot more car owners just like this man right here, Rick Hendrick. a big night for him and his team coming up later.
Well, a lot of excitement and enthusiasm shown by people in their support for Rick Hendrick here in New York City.
This morning when Rick Hendrick received that award, the Myers Brothers Award, folks, there's about 200 people in the room, and they all stood up, and you've never heard such an enthusiastic standing ovation for one man.
Well, that puts a period on the Rick Hendrick subject. Let's get on to more pleasant things. When we come back, we are going to talk with the champion of the 1996 NASCAR Winston Cup Series, Terry Labonte. Well, there's Midtown Manhattan. Kind of a pleasant evening outside. Had a little snow here earlier today, but that's all gone. I'm Bob Jenkins. This is Benny Parsons. This is Speed Week preceding the 1996 NASCAR Winston Cup Banquet. These years seem to go by so quickly, don't they?
Yeah, we're here in New York again to give away a lot of money. The top 10 drivers in points in the Labonte Walkway, as we said, $1.5 million, $2 million. And you and I are doing this for nothing again.
Yeah, that's again. Well, the man of the hour is Terry Labonte, the champion. And Dr. Jerry Punch is going to be working with us in the banquet tonight. He is with Terry down by the stage.
Bob, festivities are heating up for the NASCAR Winston Cup Awards banquet. We're just a floor or two above the Grand Ballroom at the Goodyear reception. We caught up with the champion here. And Terry, what a year and what a night. Let me be the first of many tonight to congratulate you on a superb performance in 1996.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry. I really appreciate it. It's an awful exciting night for myself as well as everybody on our Kellogg's team. Rick Hendrick, the owner, and you know, all the guys in the pit crew. Rick flew the entire team from Hendrick Motorsports up here today, and so we've probably got 140 people here for the banquet tonight.
You know, we talk about you being the Iceman and what you did all year long, but I was even touched with the emotion you showed us in that interview in Atlanta. I mean, when I saw you starting to get moist and teary-eyed, I mean, I couldn't talk.
I've never done it before, and I was mad at myself after that for doing that. But I tell you what, it was just a great event for us, and just a great moment to be able to win the championship again. I'd worked so hard to try to do it. And then with my brother winning the race and we made the victory lap together, that was just really probably the neatest thing that I've ever done.
Well, that was indeed a special day for the Labonte brothers, and tonight will be a special night for the oldest of the two, Texas Terry, as he's crowned 1996 Winston Cup champion. Bob?
I don't expect a long speech from Terry tonight. He lets most of his talking be done on the racetrack.
That's exactly right, and he did some very good talking. I'm glad he brought up that Atlanta thing. I realize we're here for the championship, but he and Bobby going around that racetrack on that after the race is over, one of the neatest things I've ever seen.
Well, one team is seeking an 8th championship next year, and they have a new crew chief to lead them. Of course, Larry McReynolds has left Robert Yates after 19 wins out of 22 with that team, and he's going to be Dale Earnhardt's crew chief for next year. That was a bit of a surprise to all of us, wasn't it?
Could have knocked me over the feather. When I read the facts on my machine that he was leaving Yates, I said, this can't be. This cannot be. But I've talked to him, and he seems very comfortable with it. He hated to leave Robert Yates, but right now, he's going up there and try to win that 8th championship for Childress and Earnhardt.
Well, of course, Richard Childress will have a 2-car team next year. Mike Skinner will drive the other. Larry McReynolds will be the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt. Jerry is with Richard Childress.
Bob, as preparations continue for the banquet, we're up here at another reception. This is the Bill France reception, and look who we found, Richard Childress. And Richard, big news this week for your team, a new crew chief.
Yeah, you know, we've acquired Larry McReynolds, and, man, we're thrilled to death. You know, it's a situation. I think it's going to be great for the whole Jim Goodwrench team, and Dale's excited. I've never seen him more excited, and with Larry aboard, it's going to be an exciting year.
Dale said that Larry, just the first time he talked to Larry, it reminded him of the old days with Kirk Shelmerdine, and we know how successful this team was with him and Kirk communicating. That's going to get you pumped up. Plus, Larry's record at Daytona is pretty good.
Yeah, you know, Larry is super well with the restrictor plate cars. You know, those are the cars we've always been racing with down there, and you know, hopefully this year we'll pull that Daytona 500 off. And you know, Dale's right. You know, Larry's got that drive and he's got that look in his eye. You know, when we were talking about things, man, it just made me feel great, just some of the ideas he had.
Well, this guy's got to be awfully proud, too, because his driver, Bob, this past week went to London and was given a Lifetime Achievement Award by Auto Sport magazine. Last year went to Emerson Fittipaldi. This year, the first time a stock car driver ever won it, and he won a lot of Formula One fans over to Ironhead's Way in London.
And so that's Richard Childress talking about Larry McReynolds, the new crew chief for Dale Earnhardt. Dave Calabra will have more racing news from the studios in a moment.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dave Calabro from the Speedweek studio in Indianapolis. We'll be returning to New York in just a few minutes, but first we want to get you caught up on some of the other news in the world of racing. We begin with the Indy Racing League. Testing has taken place for the 2 chassis that the league will field in 1997.
The driver with the honor of being the first to test the IRL's new car engine package was 1990 Indy 500 winner Arie Luyendyk. Luyendyk tested a G-Force chassis which was powered by an Oldsmobile V8 engine at Phoenix International Raceway. One thing that's for sure, the normally aspirated engines sound a whole lot different than their turbocharged predecessors.
I think these cars will appeal to the fans. I think they will like the sound of the engines. I think they will probably relate to these cars a little bit more than they did to the turbo cars, because these cars have, you know, that good old V8 sound to them.
A week and a half later, driver Eliseo Salazar tested the first Dallara chassis at Walt Disney World Speedway. Salazar, who was also fielding an Aurora V8 for Team Scandia, ran 94 laps at the side of the 1997 IRL opener.
We're very pleased. The car ran well right out of the box. We ran within just a few seconds of what we were doing here with the Indy cars. We've only had a few laps. We're checking everything out on the car. We've made a few changes now. And I very much think that this is probably going to be one of the best series you've ever seen in racing, because the cars are going to be so close together. The competitiveness is going to be extremely close, and it's what the teams get out of it.
The other engine scheduled to debut in 1997 is the Nissan Infiniti. The engine's first track test should be taking place very soon.
I would think that within a week or 10 days, you know, you can expect to see them on the track. In the hands of the teams that'll be running them on the track. And we have some testing opportunities available, both at Orlando and Phoenix. And, you know, before Christmas, I would think that you'll see that out there.
George also announced on Tuesday that Leo Mel, who retired earlier this year as the general manager for worldwide racing for Goodyear Tires, is the new vice president and executive director of the Indy Racing League. Mel replaces Jack Long, who has gone on to pursue other racing interests.
I had spent 35 years going to 25 races a year and doing lots of different things, trying to do a lot of things at the same time. And I really felt at the time I was retired. But after a few months and 20 pounds later and a new computer, and I'm really looking for a challenge, and Tony's been talking to me for years, so I'm excited about this deal.
In other IndyCar news, Dr. Terry Trammell, CART's longtime director of medical services, is stepping down from his post after 12 years on the job. Trammell cited economic factors in today's competitive healthcare industry as the reason for his departure. On Tuesday, Team Cool Green finally announced their American driver for the 1997 IndyCar campaign. Parker Johnstone, who finished 17th in the 1996 PPG Cup Championship, is owner Barry Green's choice. Johnstone became available after leaving the Bricks Comtech team on November 18th. Also on Tuesday, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series held an open test at Walt Disney World Speedway. 53 drivers participated in preparation for the season opener, which will take place at that 1 mile oval on January 19th. Joe Nemechek was the quickest of the bunch. Jay Sauter, who replaces Winston Cup-bound Mike Skinner, was third quick.
ESPN2's Winter Heat Series got underway last weekend with NASCAR late model competition. Tom Sweatman started on the pole with John Sewell on the outside, and the two were battling from the beginning. Now, Sewell had passed Sweatman on the second lap, but they were still racing hard on the 21st circuit when Tom clipped John's left rear and sent him into the wall. Sweatman was black flagged. Greg Biffle had put himself in the lead by lap 33 when Chris Trickle made his bid to the front. But with just 13 laps left, Chris lost control and spun out down the backstretch. Carl Trimmer then inherited the lead and was able to hold on for the remaining laps to record his first Winter Heat victory.
In our final open wheel highlight segment of 1996, we show you how two drivers claimed 2 championships in 2 different races, all at the same track.
Richard Griffin was the SCRA points leader entering the season finale at Perris, California, but his championship hopes took a hit in qualifying when he rode out this wild flip. He was uninjured and, in fact, jumped in another car for heat race action. Unfortunately, turn 3 once again saw the gas man on his head. This time Griffin was not cleared medically to compete. Griffin wasn't the only one having trouble keeping the rubber side down. Sid Carlson was flipping when he was hit by Jerry Coons Jr. Carlson's car seemed to disintegrate, but the roll cage did its job and Carlson walked away. Kerry Foss was leading the 40-lap main event when he got together with Dwight Cheney's lap car and flipped into turn 3. He was uninjured but done for the night. Bobby McNovich inherited the lead, then with 8 laps to go, he was passed by Ron Schumann for the lead. The Flying Shoe held on to record his first SCRA win of the year en route to the SCRA Championship. Thursday at Perris, the 56th Turkey Night Grand Prix was held for USAC's National and Western States midgets. Billy Boat's new track record in qualifying put him on the pole for the 100-lap feature. Boat's teammate Richard Griffin's rough week continued with another turn 3 flip. He complained of back pain but was otherwise okay. The night's scariest incident occurred when Larry Brown spun and was drilled by John Starks. The impact ruptured Brown's oil tank. Both drivers escaped injury. Jay Drake clinched the Western States title by signing in. His night ended with a flat tire while running second. The night belonged to Boat, who sailed to his second straight win in the Thanksgiving Classic.
One quick NHRA note, Bob Glidden, the winningest professional drag racer in history, will return to NHRA competition in 1997. Glidden's plans for the upcoming year were kind of unclear when Ford Customer Service had to reallocate its sponsorship funds. But a special agreement announced 2 weeks ago by Ford Special Vehicle Operations will allow the 10-time Pro Stock champion to compete in his 27th season.
Don't forget, we still have 3 Speedweek shows to bring you this month. The first 2 will be the annual roundtable shows, and our panel of analysts include Benny Parsons, Jan Beekes, Dave McClellan, Bob Barsha, Larry Rice, and a special appearance by 6-time NHRA Funny Car champion John Force. Our final show of the year is a special that will include in-depth interviews with racing greats Emerson Fittipaldi and Bobby Allison. When Speedweek returns, we'll rejoin the gang in New York. Now, let's take a look at the CarQuest racing calendar. For all of your auto parts needs, you'll find it at CarQuest.
The main ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria in Midtown Manhattan. This is a special edition of Speedweek in preparation for the NASCAR Winston Cup Banquet. Bill France Jr. at the helm of NASCAR for 25 years, and he said yesterday, Benny, during the news conference, that NASCAR has come a long way in that period of time.
Man, unbelievable. They've opened an office in New York about 2 blocks from the Waldorf. They've been to to Japan, ran a race over there, and attendance is up, and also TV ratings all up in 1996.
Things looking very bright for NASCAR. And because it is 25 years at the helm for NASCAR, we feel it's appropriate to pay special tribute to the boss, Bill France Jr. If there's one name that means stock car racing more than NASCAR, it is France. From the very inception of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, a member of the France family has been at the helm of the sport. On January 11, 1972, NASCAR founder Bill France Sr. stepped down as president, handing the control of auto racing's most successful sanctioning body to his son, William Clifton France. Tonight, we salute Bill France on the 25th anniversary of his presidency.
I really think that the passing of the torch happened at the right time in Bill Sr.'s life and Bill Jr.'s life, and I think both men were ready for this new challenge that they had. It's been a lot of fun the last 25 years and a lot of hard work, but I think we all expected that.
I think when he first took over from Big Bill, a lot of people had a lot of negative thoughts about whether he could run it or not, but I don't know. I've always had confidence in him, and you know, it showed. I think that a lot of the older people that had worked with his dad thought maybe he couldn't do the job, but I think that he's made a believer out of all of them. So as far as his accomplishments, just keeping it all together, making it bigger and better, he's done a heck of a job.
What I like about him is, what was that guy's name in City Slickers, old cowboy? Curly. I like Bill France because he does one thing, but he does it right. He's not like some guys that, you know, he's all over the place, different venture here, different venture there, trying to do a little something over here, a little something over there. He does Winston Cup racing, he does NASCAR racing, and he does it right.
I think the interesting thing about my father through the years is his incredible understanding about doing what's good for the sport. He's always kept his eye on how to make sure that it was a very fair playing field for the drivers and teams, that the tracks could win, the sponsors could win, and that everybody in the sport could win. And he really believes that. It shows in everything NASCAR has done. And I think, frankly, that's probably the single most significant thing that he brings to the table.
After my father died and that goes away, you sort of search for a figure that you can learn from, and I think Bill France has been that guy in my career and in my life, and he sure has done a lot for Dale Earnhardt and in this sport, and I'm you know, looking toward the future from it, but you know, I sort of worry about when he's not around.
You know, he really has a number of roles that he has to play. At the racetrack, for instance, he has to maintain total control, but then again, I see the side of him working with him every day at the company. It's much different in that he allows people to seek new opportunities. He's open-minded to change, and I think that's a real key to his success. He's able to juggle those personalities and the different roles that he plays.
Bill Jr. saw right out that this is an everybody sport, and he made it attractive to the women and the children and the older folks, and as well as those of us that were out there competing.
Billy, congratulations on your 25 years as president of NASCAR, but I look forward to 25 more years since Betty Jane says you're not retiring.
Dad, congratulations on your successful 25 years. We really appreciate all you've done for the sport, but most important, thanks for being you. You're a great dad.
We are just a few minutes away from the start of the NASCAR Winston Cup Banquet here in the main ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Benny Parsons. We're going to wrap up Speed Week here with a little bit of other news that's happened in the last few days.
Well, Paul Andrews, it's announced, is moving from the number 7 QVC car of Jeff Bodine over to the Cranopus Haas 37 car, Jeremy Mayfield.
There were a lot of people that voted this year for most popular driver, and it went right down to the wire, a battle between Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt. But for the 11th time, Bill Elliott is the most popular driver.
And at the wild card drawing for the Busch Clash yesterday, Rusty Wallace gets that last spot.
And Bill France told us yesterday the schedule is fixed for 1997. There was some speculation that perhaps another race would be added to it, but nope, the schedule for 1997 announced earlier is the schedule we'll go with. Hey, we got to get out of here because the banquet is starting. Stay with us now. We'll be right back for the 1996 NASCAR Winston Cup Awards Banquet.